All right, now that we have a good understanding, or at least a basic understanding of the law and how it could apply to your property, let's talk about the compliance process. As you can see here, we've tried to make that a 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of really step-by-step process. And the one thing I want to emphasize, it starts with getting your building benchmarked. Okay, so that is, you can't proceed to step 2 without completing step 1. And so once there's basically 2 outcomes of step 1, the benchmarking process. The first outcome could be you're above target, and that sets a different path than if you are below your target. But all paths lead to completing the compliance process, which involves completing forms and documenting and substantiating that all your documents are in place and that you have had 12 continuous months of sustained energy performance prior to submitting your paperwork to Department of Commerce for approval. So let's talk about if your building is above its energy use intensity target. What we suggest doing is beginning with a preliminary scoping assessment. If your building is above its target, that's not a good thing, right? Because you want your EUI as low as possible. And so if your EUI of your specific building, as measured by Energy Star Portfolio Manager, is above its EUI calculated target, then you need to identify scopes of work defined as energy efficiency measures. You can see there's 5 of them here on this slide. But it's basically a bundle of work that has got a cost and an EUI reduction associated with it. And so you need to contract with a professional, a service provider such as MacDonald-Miller, to be able to go through this and be able to have certainty that if you implement these measures, that you're going to be below your energy use intensity target once you establish the funding and have implemented the work. Oftentimes this process may include, as you can see in red there, EEM 4 and 5, some additional improvements that may or may not necessarily need to be implemented in order to achieve your target, but there are opportunities for future planning. And so I just wanted to put a spotlight on those, the positive outcomes of going through this initial scoping assessment exercise. Another key element of the scoping assessment is making sure your service provider is identifying all available incentives. As you may recall in the opening slides about the law, there is an early adopter incentive if your building is performing 15 points higher than its EUI target. So you want to make sure that that gets identified and the proper paperwork gets submitted to the Department of Commerce for reserving those funds. And then additionally, most utilities in the state of Washington have energy efficiency and incentives, and you want to make sure you're quantifying all the available utility incentives within your service provider territory. So in summary, if you're below or near your energy use intensity target, you're advancing, there's no audit required, and you're advancing to completing the compliance paperwork. If you are above your target, you may qualify for the early adopter incentive. You have contractors that are able to guarantee the outcomes through a performance contracting type of arrangement. Or you may need to, if we determine that your building cannot achieve its target through an implementation of energy efficiency measures, you may need to consider an ASHRAE Level 2 audit, which is a path for conditional compliance for your property. But our suggestion would be the ASHRAE Level 2 audit is the last resort, and that you really focus your dollars and your time on things that are going to make incremental and financially prudent investments in the operation of your buildings to achieve your energy use target. And that happens with the investment grade audit process. So at the end of the day, we've gotten through the compliance process, and here's towards the end, I want to make sure that you're aware that there's more work to be done. So your building is now operating below its target. And so in order to be able to be successful at submitting your building for approval, that you've achieved your Clean Buildings Performance Standard obligations, all buildings must at least complete these 3 forms, Forms A, B, and C. Form A basically is the most extensive form, and it basically involves documenting your energy management plan, which in some cases you may or may not have, and so you need to work with a qualified person to help develop that and also train your personnel on the implementation of the energy management strategies. And the operations and maintenance program, and that's in essence your preventative maintenance program for your energy consuming systems such as HVAC and lighting. And so you need to have a comprehensive preventative maintenance program which is memorialized in the operations and maintenance program under Form A. And the other piece is basically a multi-year capital improvement plan. So similar to the example I shared previously, the 2 energy efficiency measures, although aren't required for achieving your initial target, may be future capital planning opportunities, and you want to make sure you're documenting those types of elements, and it's required as part of submission of Form A. The other forms, B and C, are basically replicating information that has already been done through the energy use intensity calculator, as well as what is documented in your Energy Star Portfolio Manager site. So those are fairly easy forms to satisfy. So with that, congratulations, you're compliant. And if there's any questions or anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to the contact information down below, and we'd be very happy to respond to you and have private consultation. Thank you.